Welcome to Tree Doctors, everybody, coming at you from the White River near Newport, Arkansas. We're going to catch up with Ed Dickey out in the field and let him give us some tips on how to take care of our trees. But before we do that, let's let him show us a little bit about what he does to take care of our trees. It all starts right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, great strides have been made in the chemical community as the technology come available now where you don't need to clumber some capsules to tree, and we can put actually 9 or 10 different products at one time in a tree. You can see it boiling out from around the base of that as I'm injecting this into the soil ball. Amino acids, different miticides, insecticides. We can choose what we want to treat for, and we get a long residual from this. So you get a year's worth of good or longer out of our injection when we do a tree. An actual moat of chemicals put around your tree, and it's all moisture activated. So as the weather hits it or the rain, it supercharges it again and carries through the tree. So to get rid of your unwanted insects or to revive a tree to put new life in it, you know, that's what we do. We put the zap back in the sap. We give new life to old trees. That's what we do. We're the Tree Doctors. Dickey Tree Service in your yellow pages under trees.
It's time to go out in the field with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey, right now on Tree Doctors.
Man, this is a big old oak tree. This tree has been here a number of years. The people here called me in. The tree was starting to decline. It was losing branches. They had to pick up every time the wind blows. And also, they noticed these holes in the trunk and sap running out. After examining the trees, it's easy to see that borers are in this tree. They had me treat for the borers, and they're gone now. But that's the way you can identify a problem going on with your older trees. This just didn't happen overnight. This is took a couple years to get this bad. You can see the large holes where the borers exited the tree, and the bleeding spots on the trunk. A lot of times you'll see sawdust right around the base. So that's what to watch for on your trees. The staining is an indicator. You can see it from several feet away on a lot of these large trees where the bark has gotten stained from the sap oozing. So watch for that. And if you don't correct it, it can kill your tree. But we got the cure. That's borer damage right there. I'm here right outside of Cord with Rusty and Lydia Karshner. And it's been about a year and a half since you called me in. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what was going on at that time, Rusty?
Well, we fell in love with this property, and we were fortunate enough that we were able to buy it. And I think what we liked about it more than anything was the size and age of the trees that were on the property, and we just felt like that it was a great place for us to build. So we called you guys and said, hey, you know, these trees are old and they're big. What do you recommend that we do in order to make sure that they're going to be there for our lifetime and hopefully for our children's lifetime?
Right, and this was for the house plans or anything was ever drawn up. Rusty and Lydia had me and the crew come in here and treat all of these, and to keep the ones, and I think it was 30 some odd of the large oaks that we treated, 34 I believe, and a pine tree.
That's right.
And Lydia, since you got the house going on, what do you think of the property now?
Oh, it's beautiful, but it was beautiful before that, even with the trees. That's why we called you to come out and treat these, because this is the reason we fell in love with the place, and that was the most important part.
Yes, ma'am, and you're right on the hill, and they had me. I've talked a lot of times on the show about the lightning arresters, and when you're on a hill, there's 3 things that draws the lightning. They're water, tall trees, and being on a hill, and unfortunately, they've got all 3 because there's water behind the house also. And he had me put 2 lightning arresters in back during that time. But we had a problem after that, didn't we, Rusty?
Yeah, unfortunately, we did. We had lightning as we were building a house strike a tree that was in the front yard. I believe it was ground lightning, and it actually come up and blew part of the tree out. But, as we look at it now, we're kind of glad because it's going to allow us to have a lot nicer front yard once we put our landscaping in. And it's unfortunate, but, I guess that's God's way.
There you go. Some of your workmen, I had talked to them about it, and they was actually here on their lunch break when it happened, and it caught an aerosol can on fire, didn't it?
Yeah, I think a couple of those guys had to go to the doctor or maybe just to the restroom, but they did have to leave for a little while.
Right, and it just sickened you for a little while, didn't it, Lydia? That lightning?
Oh, I was disgusted. I mean, these trees are my babies. Like I said, they were more important than the house to me. But, now that it's gone, there's definitely, a reason. And now my husband's tickled because he gets to have pretty landscaping around the house.
Yes, ma'am. And another thing that you found out from building this is an enormous home. Rusty took me through it before it was done, and it's gorgeous inside, too. Another thing that's happened to y'all is about the foundation. Why don't you tell the viewers about what went on a little bit?
Well, it took about a year to build the house, and what's happened is when we started building, the ground was saturated, and it's got some clay in it. And as we got into the hot, dry summertime, the clay dried out, and actually the footings moved maybe a quarter of an inch or so. And so we're actually waiting to put the landscaping in because we've got soaker hoses trying to get that clay saturated so that it will move back into place. Luckily, we haven't had any kind of damage, any major cracks or anything, but we noticed that some of the rock was just slightly moving, and it's actually already started moving back. So, but what they told us was if you have a tree too close to the house, a tree of this size that's 100 years old, 100 foot tall, that they can pull 250 gallons of water a day out of the soil for nutrients.
Right, and you require that extra nutrient, or you will get a break in your foundation. Same way under your driveway and stuff like that. You need a certain amount of moisture. That's why with landscaping, you end up getting that.
Right, exactly. We think now our trees are far enough apart that we feel pretty good about where they're at. None of them are close enough where they could actually, even if they fell, cause much damage. So I think that now the way that it's set up, we're real excited and satisfied with the results.
Yes, sir. And Lydia, you can't wait to start watering all this landscaping. Well, when you gonna get him in gear on that?
Oh, no, that's his job. My job is inside the house. His is outside.
Okay, we heard that. So when we're checking back later, we'll know what to look at on the landscaping. When are you gonna start doing with your landscaping?
Well, we were going to do it this fall, but we're now going to do it in the spring. We're going to wait to make sure that there is no foundation issues of any kind, so that if we put the landscaping in, we don't have to spend the money to do it again.
There you go.
We're going to wait till springtime, and that gives us a little bit more time to figure out exactly what shrubs and bushes and small trees and stuff that we want near the house.
Here behind us, Rusty, kind of tell me what you got going on. This is additional acreage. How many acres you got total here?
Well, we originally bought 40 acres where the house is at, and then after we purchased this, we bought 40 acres adjacent to us, and we're in the process of putting about a 6-7 acre mini lake or pond on that side of the property, and we'll put a dock and a gazebo and just some things like that to dress the side of the property. It doesn't have all the large trees like this side does, so we think the mini lake will kind of add to that side of the place.
Oh, definitely, and you're lucky with the weather being like it is to get this done, aren't you?
Well, we're hoping we get it done before the rains start. We haven't had a lot of rain, I think, since about April or May, but we're hoping to get the levee done before the rains hit. That way we can get it completed.
Right. What projects have you got going on now, Lydia? How long have you been in the house?
Oh, we've been in, a month and a half?
Yeah.
About that. We're just trying to get everything unpacked still, and we've got most of our furniture inside, but we still have a lot to do. A lot of boxes to unpack.
Yeah, that moving is a chore, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Actually,
yes,
my
it is.
yard work's coming along a lot faster than her housework, so
That's true.
I'm a step ahead of her.
That's actually true.
Well, maybe in the future we'll come back here after we get this all done and the pond gets water, and we'll talk to you a little more and see what else is going on your property.
Great.
Great.
We'd welcome you back.
The people at this property called me in and wanted my advice on what to do with this twin fork tree here. It's actually two different trees, and a lot of times you can put a bracing rod through there and keep these trees for a long time. But in this case here, I recommended that they take this one side off. That's why I put the ribbon here for them to live with a while before they have it cut off. Because right beside it is a pine tree that it's growing into. And by removing this, that sometime pretty soon, the tree will still maintain the integrity of a well-balanced tree. This is a willow oak tree. And in years to come, 7 or 8 years down the road, you won't even miss that side section, and it won't be pushing in on that pine tree beside it. So before you make a quick decision on fixing or putting a rod in it, or sometimes a quick fix is not the right fix. A lot of times thought goes a long way when you think it out right. And that's what I recommended to do here, and I think that's what they're going to do. And they will see that it was the right choice, is to remove that unwanted side. I've had a lot of people call and write in about how to get rid of moles in their yard. And moles can be a problem. They make your little furrows all through the yard, and you trip, and the yard looks unkept kind of. Now this is for the people who's tried other methods, like your poison peanuts. They've tried your juicy fruit chewing gum. They tried your harpoons that go down and hit them. A lot of lawn care people tell you to spray your yard to get rid of the grubs, you get rid of the moles. That's not 100% so. Moles get used to the roots of some certain plants, and they still come in your yard. But this is a method that will get rid of your moles if you've got a bad mole problem and you just run out of patience. And this is what I found that works. You take a shop vac hose, like I have here. You take a container. Here I use plastic for convenience, but it'd be better if it'd be metal. A coffee can, a high C drink can. And then you take some duct tape, and you duct tape this to the container. You hang this over the tailpipe of your automobile. It needs to be loosely hung because you don't want to burn or hurt any of your engines. You start your vehicle up, and you stick this down in the run where the moles are going. Just pull the earth back and run it down in there. You let your car run for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And the carbon dioxide will go through all of those furrows and burrows, and you gas them. Simple as that. It's very efficient. It's worth the time and effort to do it. There's a couple of precautions I like to tell people. You're working with carbon dioxide, which is a gas, carbon monoxide, which is a gas, and the heat from it can burn you. And the reason I use plastic, I couldn't find a metal can. I'd rather use metal because plastic will melt. You can see the smoke coming from that right there. So if you put metal on there when you hang it on the tailpipe, and before you do this, check and see what size your tailpipe of your car is. Your tailpipe might be one that's sticking straight down, where you have to put a brick holding the container up to keep it holding the tailpipe of the car. Every automobile is different. Mine just happens on the truck, just happens to be coming out straight. That works great. Stick it in there, gas them, go about your business. Yours might be a little harder. Anyway, try that, and you'll see that you get rid of those moles, and it'll keep them out for a good while too, because there's something about the gas get into the soil, and it leaves kind of a footprint there that you don't want them there. So try that. Let me know. I think you'll like what happens. I'm here in Newport with Kenny Thaxton, and Kenny, won't you tell the viewers what was going on with your trees when you called me in?
Well, the limbs were dying and just thinning out just limb by limb, slowly but surely, and I just thought of everything I could think of, and I couldn't think of anything, and I called a tree doctor.
Right, and what I found, Kenny at his business here has got a row of 5 dogwoods here, and the middle one is the one that's causing a problem. Top's dying back, and there's about 3 things going on with it. It's everybody knows dogwoods has got their own set of problems, but it's got the dogwood board, plus it's got a nematode, and it got stressed this summer because it was so dry. But we treated all of them, and I think you're going to do good. You've been watering them, haven't you?
Yes, sir. Sure have, all afternoon.
Right now, what do you do here in Newport?
We distribute beer.
And what's the name of your company?
CR Fortune Beer Company.
CR Fortune. And you had told me, we had talked a little bit earlier, that on some of your plants, what do you do with some of your stale beer you got?
We use it for fertilize.
You sure do.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that the vitamins and minerals that's in the beer stay in that beer, and they don't waste nothing. That's better than going down the sewer line, isn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. It's that free and cold beer's the best.
I guess so. Spoken well from a beer man. Now, there's a gardener, I think it's Baker, that tells you there's a whole lot of cures for what ails your plants using beer and Tabasco sauce and different stuff.
Right.
That don't hurt either, does it?
No, sir. It's all of it's good for you.
I guess so. All right, and I did some trees at your house, and we'll move around here. We're going to talk about them in a minute.
Okay, that'd be good.
Kenny, before we get over to your house, I couldn't help but notice you've got this license. That's the same license plate on the front of every one of your trucks?
Yes, sir. We're also in the wholesale wine business. We sell Arkansas native wines, Whitaker and Post wines, both.
And they're made right here in Arkansas.
Yes, sir. Made right up here in Altus, Arkansas.
Keep that in mind. When you need some wine, it comes from Arkansas. That's where I'd get it. Arkansas wine. But what caught my eye, he's got that's one of the most unique license plates that tells what you're doing. I just had to show it, Kenny.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Kenny, we're over at your residence here in Newport, and you say you planted this water oak tree how long ago?
Oh, probably about 18 years. 18 years ago.
How big was it when you set it out?
About waist high.
He called me in. He recently had me treat these 3 dogwoods he's got here up to his beer distributing place. I treated 5, but I treated his 3 dogwoods here also, and I found he's got a borer problem going on in this oak, and he had me treat it too. And did you plant the dogwoods?
Yes, sir. Sure did. Planted it. These 2 here, I planted them about 5 years after I planted that one. And that one I planted, it was probably about 1 foot tall when I planted it.
Well, you got a little bit of a green thumb, don't you?
Well, I try to have. Some things don't always make it, but most of them do.
Well, the clue to that is just a little time and effort, isn't it?
Yes, sir. You just have to spend a little time making sure they stay watered and when they need water, and look, just see after it.
There you go. We're going to move around here, and he's got another problem I turned him on to that he's going to have someone else handle. We're going to go over that in a minute. We moved around here to the side of the house, and Kenny, this is the first time he's seen this. I talked to his wife about it this morning. But you understand what I'm talking about this?
Yes, sir. That big hackberry needs to take that middle out. It's separating it. Like you said, it'll split it.
That's right. And this is a younger, this is a hackberry tree here, but this is a younger offshoot that's come up here. And every day that this grows, that's going to push it apart a little bit further. And it's not to the point now where he needs a bracing rod or anything. He can get a trimming crew in here and take this out and relieve this pressure that's going on, because it's going to ruin this beautiful hackberry tree if it doesn't. Don't you agree, Kenny?
I think you're right. I'd never noticed it, but I really think you're right.
And so he can take his time now and get it on out of there, and I'm sure the tree will. And I gave him a tip or 2 on some other branches he could cut off, and he'll just save that old hackberry. And it was here when the house was built, wasn't it?
I believe it was. Yes, sir, it sure was. It's been here as long as I've been here, and I've been here about 20 years.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe when you get that all corrected and took care of, we'll visit back with you, and we'll see how that looks with that gone. And I know it's going to enhance the looks of it, and you'll feel better probably when it's storming too, won't you?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you coming back to check on it, too.
We'll talk a little bit about staking your tree. There's a lot of products available. This is a plastic that they drive down beside the tree. What's more important than what you stake it, drive down with it, a wood stake or whatever, it's what you tie the tree to the stake with, because chances are you're going to forget it anyway. These people here are using clothesline rope. It's just cotton, and what it'll do, it'll break down over time, and that keeps from choking your tree out. So that's a great thing to use, something like a shoelace, or but this is old cotton clothesline rope. So when you go to tie your tree up, if you'll use that, you'll keep from hurting your tree and keep from choking it out later on, because it will actually break and fall off before it has a chance to cut into your tree. And it makes you keep an eye on them too, like you should do. So when you stake your tree, take them precautions. You'll be glad you did. I'm at Diaz with Kathy Shaw, and Kathy, you had planted these, trying to give the viewers a tip on this. And how long you've had these trees in the ground?
I think it was like March or April this year.
Okay, so they hadn't been in there 6 months, and she's watered them through the dry summer, and she's got some washout pockets. And what I recommend on that, if she just pulls this dry grass that she's got around it, and she invests $1 or $1.10, it's not very much, for a bag of topsoil. and just drop that bag down here, slit it with a knife, and spread that soil out across around it, and then put this back on there after you pull it back. And that'll help that get through that winter, and it'll make up for those washout spots, and it won't be sitting in a hole, so to speak, from where you washed it out watering this year. And then next year you won't need to do that. It'll have the correct level of ground, and the grass will start growing around it a little bit. And I believe that'll give the tree a little shot in the arm.
When I put this hose on it next year, should I water further out away from the tree? As opposed to next to it?
It won't be as important next year because you'll have grass starting to grow and take hold in here. This year you had to dug out part of the hole exposed, so it was loose soil. But next year the grass, through the winter, that grass is going to take hold, and under this also. So you're not going to have that wash away problem next year.
Oh, very good. Okay, thank you.
Kathy, how long have you been a resident of Arkansas?
Since November 2003.
Okay, and I'm here at Kathy's home. And what made you call me in, Kathy?
Well, our trees got sick, so I called the tree doctor.
Yes, ma'am. What you've got, you can see in the camera show behind me, I think, there's a total of 9, aren't they? 9 large pecan trees, and 8 of them, it's like something's been sprayed on them or poured around them. Is that correct?
That's what you diagnosed, yep.
Yes, ma'am. And they'd all have foliated, and right away after I treated them, could you start telling the difference?
Yes. Yeah, we watered them thoroughly through the hot, dry summer, and they seem to recover fairly well.
Yes, ma'am. And in the spring, I think they're going to come out real good. And this one that wasn't as affected as bad as the other, it's really, flagging and showing us it's feeling good, I think.
Yes. Yep.
Where'd you move here from, Kathy?
Florida.
Florida. What's your occupation?
I'm a housewife.
I thought you was in the medical end of it. That's your husband, isn't it?
My husband, yes, he's an anesthetist.
Okay. That's a doctor.
No, that's a nurse.
There you go. Okay. I want to clarify that. A lot of people don't know what that is. But you like it here so far in Arkansas?
Yes, yeah. People are wonderful.
When I was here before, I met your daughter. She goes to college here too, doesn't she?
University of Central Arkansas.
Yes, ma'am. Well, next spring when these are coming out, I want to try to catch up with you, and we'll just show what a difference it makes after trees have been treated the following year.
That'd be fine. I'm just hoping they just get all better.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thanks for taking a minute to talk about your trees.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate your help.
I want to talk about the low limbs out over walkways. And in this situation here, this is a large branch over a walkway. The normal practice is to cut your limbs off to where they're at least 7 foot tall, for an average sized person or somebody a little taller than average size can walk under there. In this situation here where I'm right at 6 foot, about 5'11", there's a lot of people would hit their head on this. So it'd be nice to put some kind of little reflective tape or something there, something to let the people know that this is a potential hazard. Now if this was a small limb, like right behind me here, you need to clip these off so they don't hit the people in the face as they're using the walkway. And otherwise they're going to pull on them, swing on them, break them, hurt your tree or hurt yourself. So watch out for these hazards, and you'll keep them hurting your tree and make everything else work better too. You'll be glad you did. I want to talk a little more about the vines that get on your tree. This property owner here, I had told him a while back to cut the vines loose from the tree close to the ground, jump up a couple of foot and pull them back, and so you could monitor them dying. He did the same thing here at his residence. You can see where he left this here. And then he sprayed Roundup to kill them. Finally, after they had died up above here, he pulled them off. You can still see where they're attached here. The attachment's still left on the brick. Now, the only way he's going to be able to really clean that up good, in my opinion, is a pressure washer. That'll blow that off, and then he can repaint that and make that like new. But that's how they attach to your tree. You're getting a bird's eye view of how they attach, and it's got a lot of little, almost like root fibers that attach to the tree. So they're very difficult to pull off until they do die. So that's how a vine it doesn't take much time at all for a vine to really cause you a problem on your tree as well as your structures around your home. So keep an eye on those vines, and maybe use this idea to help get rid of them in the future. Cut them loose, let them die, pull them off, spray them down. You'll be glad you did. I'm here with Jules Martin and Truman, and Mr. Martin, you actually planted this big old pecan tree behind us, didn't you? When was that?
That's about 50 years ago, at least 50 years ago.
Okay, along about the mid-50s?
Yes, I have brothers living on both sides of me, so I planted three pecan trees, one in each front of each yard and then three in the back. I planted 6 pecan trees.
So these are your family trees. Was they Stewart or Mahan, or you remember?
These are all Mahan.
Yes, sir. And these trees are doing good up to just a short time ago, wasn't it, about a year ago?
Yes, I had always heard the Mahan didn't have a long life, but these trees have lived pretty good.
Yes, sir. Mr. Martin had me treat these trees about his tree and the one in the back about a year ago, and it's coming out well.
Yes, it is.
And you just got, when you plant them, you have to keep eye on them, don't you? You can take a lot of them.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for taking a minute talking about your pecan tree.
Oh, yes.
You know, some trees have insect problems. Some just have construction damage. Well, we can handle them both generally at the same time. I'm using a soil injection here, building a mold of chemicals all around the root ball. It gets translocated into the crown of the tree. It has a very long residual. Stays working for a year or better, killing insects as well as growing new feeder roots and increasing the canopy of the tree. 9 different chemicals is going in this at once. So there's so much we can do that we used to couldn't do, and it's, in most cases, it's cheaper than it used to be. And just name me just any one thing that's come down in price. Well, taking care of your trees have come down in price. Give us a call. You'll be surprised. We're the Tree Doctor, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees. In 1905, John Davy published a book, The Tree Doctor, where he made public his experiments with tree surgery and cabling and bracing and techniques to repair trees. That set a standard for the industry back then. He started the Davy Tree Expert Company, which is 125 years old now and still in existence. One of the largest there are out there. And that's one reason our show is named The Tree Doctor. We try to pass along any tips that we get to y'all, and hopefully they'll be useful to somebody on down the road at one time or other. Stuff that we've learned the hard way or sometime the easy way. But it goes back to 1905 when John Davy first published the book, The Tree Doctor. And that just kind of tells you how our program got its name and what our program's about. The Tree Doctor. I hope you keep watching.
That's all the time we have today for Tree Doctors. Remember, Tree Doctors is on every Saturday and Sunday at 6 o'clock in the morning. And if you need to get in touch with Ed, it's simple. You can go to dickeytree.com or you can call the number below. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Tree Doctors.